Hello again. This is Dalia. We are on the Vampire Diaries: The Awakening, Chapter 9, Part 5. So we've done heard from Miss Flowers when Elena went to her house, and this is where we're at now. Elena nodded and mounted the stairs. Such a strange old house, she thought again, as she located the second stairway in the bedroom. The voices below were very faint from here. As she went up the steps, they faded entirely. She was wrapped in silence as she reached the dimly lit door at the top. She had the feeling she had entered some other world. Her knocking sounded very timid. Stefan? She could hear nothing from inside, but suddenly the door swung open. Everyone must look pale and tired today, thought Elena. And then she saw, and then she was in his arms. Those arms tightened about her convulsively. Elena! Oh, Elena! Then he threw back. It was just the way it had been last night. Elena could feel the chasm opening between them. She saw the cold, correct look gather in his eyes. No, she said, hardly aware that she spoke aloud. I won't let you, and she pulled his mouth down to hers. For a moment there was no response, and then he shuddered, and the kiss became searing. His fingers tangled in her hair, and the universe shrank around Elena. Nothing else existed but Stefan, and the feel of his arms around her and the fire of his lips on hers. A few minutes or a few centuries later they separated, both shaking. But their gaze remained connected, and Elena saw that Stefan's eyes were too dilated for even this dim light. There was only a thin band of green around the dark pupils. He looked dazed, and that mouth was swollen. I think, he said, that she could hear the control in his voice, that we had better be careful when we do that. Elena nodded, dazed herself. Not in public, she was thinking, and not when Bonnie and Meredith were waiting downstairs, and not when they were absolutely alone. But you can just hold me, she said. How odd that after that passion she could feel so safe, so peaceful in his arms. I love you, she whispered into the rough wool of his sweater. She felt a quiver go through him. Elena, he said again.